Hi, this is the roundup of all the mods I have done from stock on my Kawasaki Versys 650. I'll go into a little bit of detail of each one along with how long I've had them. Right, starting with a few of the big visual changes. This is the AS3 Performance crash bars with sliders and the AS3 Performance sump guard. Overall, the crash bars are actually worth getting. They've held up well. They've been on the bike now for about 2.5 years. There's no tarnishing, everything looks good. They bolted on easily. They're easy enough to keep in place while I do all my servicing, so they're well recommended. The sump guard, not so much. It was a bit of a misfit. I've had to do some work to make it fit, although it does suit for me how it looks. It is a pain when it comes to doing oil changes because it does cover the oil filter, but doesn't cover the oil plug. So that is worth bearing in mind. On the back here, we have the Givi Pannier and top box setup. This has got a quick release system. It came with the bike. It's not something I've installed, but I do thoroughly recommend. It's easy to put the panniers on and off along with the top box, and I can basically store everything within the bike that I need. And if I really want to, I can take off these side mountings if I want the bike to look cleaner, or I can keep them on just for a little bit of crash protection. So this is the Powerbronze screen tinted. I've tried a few others from MRA, as well as the stock screen. This one I think suits the bike visually the best, as well as directing enough airflow over the top of me, but without catching too much on my helmet. Coming into the controls area, you can see I've installed the Oxford heated grips, which are worth their weight in gold. These are the smart, intelligent ones, so they don't need to be wired through a relay. If you do leave them on, they will auto shut off, and they can feel the current draw is too high and the battery life is getting affected. Also fitted, we have a USB charger that is connected up through a relay and has an on-off switch along with a light indicator. I've also got a phone navigation bar, which is quite recently installed, as well as the quad lock with the vibration dampener, again, quite recently installed. As a control setup, I'd say Oxford grips are worth their weight in gold. USB charger is incredibly valuable if you're using your phone for navigation or any other device. You can power that on. Underneath this side panel here, you will actually have to take off for this whole section. There is a relay that you can buy and get fitted for the Mark II, which allows you to put all your accessories to wired through, so it comes on switch with the ignition. It has 2 pins that you can plug into. I've used one for my USB port, as I've mentioned previously. Second one I've kept spare in case I decide to fit some aftermarket lights. This relay does not need to be fitted to any of the Mark III or later because it does come as standard. It's only for the Mark II and the Mark I where it's not as standard. To complement the heated grips, I've also got these handguards, and they are full crash protection handguards from Motorcycle Parts Warehouse down in Southwick. They actually come with the option to put the extender in there to push air over your hand, as well as a fill-in area there to keep the wind going away from your hand, which during this winter months is a godsend, and in summer you can actually pop those out so you do get a bit of airflow. Those were like 45 quid and have held up really well and are quite good for a universal part fitting well on the bike. Under the seat here, this is the seat riser. This stops the seat sloping down too much towards the tank, and I've had it on the bike now for about 2 years. You can see where some of the plastic's getting a bit tatty because it is 3D printed parts, but it's held up pretty well where it matters most, which is the support area here. I've found that the actual sliding is much less of an effect and is much more comfortable for me. I've also fitted a little side stand extender here. It only came with the 2 screws because it was a cheap eBay purchase, but it's held up and has been on there since I pretty much got the bike. Also on this side, you can see the Puig Trail foot pegs and adapters. They have been good as gold since I've installed them. They're quite comfortable to use. The only thing that had to be done is because they're a little bit higher and a little bit wider, you need to adjust where your gear selector sits by adjusting this threaded bar here. Other than that, they've been really solid. And up in here, you'll see my eBay special radiator guard. I bought that on eBay for a very cheap price. It was missing a few little bolts, but it has held up well and is still keeping the radiator safe. And one of the final things in the most recent stuff is that I've actually fitted Paddock stand bobbins to allow me to easily put my bike on and off the Paddock stand. Really does make an improvement in being able to manhandle the weight of the bike and get everything easily lined up to then put it on a stand to do all the maintenance work. Okay, so that's everything I've done to the Versys. As you can see, it's been quite a bit in the last few years. And I think all of the things, with the exception of the sump guard, have been quality of life or improvements in case something goes wrong. The sump guard is purely for aesthetic reasons from my point. So when I go camping, I look like a giant off-roading maniac, but realistically, it's just there to look like I do some off-road. I go camping down the lightest of trails to get there. And this is where the Versys really does shine. It allows you to put on it what you need it to do. So you can see I've really got mine set up for commuting. The handguards, the heated grips, the top box, the luggage, the comfort seat, it's all designed around me going for a good commute to work in the winter comfortably. The rest of it is when I go camping now, 2 or 3 times a year, where I want to feel like I'm off on a big adventure, hence the sump guard, the fancy screen, the nice foot pegs. Bit of a luxury item, but overall it makes me feel special, and that's part of what's nice about having a bike, is doing little things to make you feel good about it. All right, that's it for now. Thanks very much.